What's up, everyone? My name is Wes, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. Today's episode, we were fortunate enough to have Blue Venus back on the show. The St. Paul hardcore band just released their second EP, Nosebleed, at the end of January. The quartet talked about how their approach to making music has changed over the past 2 years, what it really means to be punk, their experiences playing in the Twin Cities scene, and more. Without further ado, here's my interview with Gage, Max, Segal, and Will of Blue Venus on the Ear Coffee Podcast. How are you doing on this Saturday afternoon?
Good. We're really happy to be here. It's good to see you in person.
Yeah, we've at least met in person a few times since the interview, which makes this a little more comfortable. But the first time we chatted was, I think, one of the first remote interviews we did back when the plague first started.
Right.
Love it.
Cool. The memories. So just so we can kind of get things off on a clear and people can kind of recognize the voices, let's just go around and do introductions. Hopefully people are familiar at this point, but I think just more for the vocal association. We can maybe start with Max if you're cool.
I'm Max. I'm the drummer for Blue Venus.
What are your pronouns, Max?
He, him are the pronouns for me. Yep.
Cool.
You have to bully cis people or else they'll never say them. My name is Segal. I'm the lead singer and I use they, them.
I'm Gage. I'm the bassist and I use he, him.
Hey, what's up? My name is Will. I play the guitar and I use they, them.
Hell yeah. This is kind of just a broad introductory question since, as I've already probably mentioned like 4 times, we've already had you on the pod, so definitely listen to that if you haven't and get kind of, if you want an idea for the band's origins. We're kind of going to just cover what's happened since it has been about 2 years since we chatted last. Yeah, it feels not like 2 years. It's time is an illusion.
Long as fuck.
But maybe kind of, since we'll be getting more into the music side of things, obviously, in the 2 years since May and since your first EP came out, what have y'all kind of been up to? Obviously, you have a new EP out, which we'll talk about, but just kind of fill in the gaps for the listeners out there. All 6 of them.
Yeah, love you guys.
Yeah,
shout out to all 6 of
guys.
y'all. So in May, we dropped Nosebleed, a cute little debut demo moment. It was fun.
Paper cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
oops.
Yeah, that's the demo one.
Oh.
Well, there's demos.
Yeah.
It's actually just called demos.
Minor
and then
injuries.
Paper cut.
Yeah, I never know what's going on, so that's sick. We dropped that. And then we went off the grid because Max was not in the state until like September. And then we did some sessions with Ear Coffee, which were pretty cool. And those are like on YouTube, so go watch those and stream them and stuff.
YouTube.
Yeah. And then we went off the grid again because school and work and life and stuff. And then we got off the grid in August and we started doing shows, and now we do shows like once every 700 years.
Slightly back on the grid.
Yeah. And then we went off the grid again because haha Omicron. But then this is the real tea. We recorded with Abe Anderson, who does really cool production and stuff, and he dropped Funk Machine recently. Please go listen to it. It's really cool
Funk
and good.
Machine. You don't need a license to drive a Funk Machine.
Yeah, literally. I don't know how to drive, so and I'm still on it. So go stream.
That's a very thorough and I think convincing stamp of approval for anyone who has not checked out Abe's new stuff.
And yeah, that's it.
That kind of sums it up. We'll fill in some of those at least on the grid moment gaps here. So just kind of picking up where we left off. Paper Cut, the debut EP. A lot of the earliest stuff. Some of it was on the demo. Some of it has obviously been part of your live set since. It was the first songs y'all wrote and recorded together, which is always a really cool moment. With this hindsight that we have, how do you still think about the EP, especially since a lot of those songs have maintained a presence in the band's life? And what's it been like revisiting some of those songs for gigs and for live performances, practices? Just kind of where are your heads at with these songs that you've been working with for well over 2 years, probably at this point?
Yeah, we did bring back like stuff like White and Rich and Petting Zoo when we did the 7th Street show last month, just because we kind of realized that we had this like our biggest show so far, and our set list was still not longer than like 15 minutes, so we probably
It's hardcore.
needed to include a few more things. We hadn't actually played those in forever, though. I hope it didn't show too much, but
I mean, based on the question you had me fool, this is
okay.
back at it. Let's go.
Well, I'm glad.
It's like cute to go back to that older stuff, but honestly, like we've changed a lot, and I think a lot of the perspectives and like how we approach writing now has changed. When we started, it was very kind of like a jam situation. Like we were just like, this sounds good enough. Let's do it. Let's just go. Now we've like kind of refined our sound, and now we kind of like have a vision, and then we apply that more than like that. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards more of our newer stuff, because we kind of like work through that writing process more together. So
Yeah, I kind of like I mean, shit, it's kind of like it's a double-sided thing, because with the old shit, that's like nostalgic shit for us. I mean, at least for me, at least, you know. And like it kind of like what was I gonna say? And it's cool because we've become better. Like the synergy between ourselves, the more longer you play with multiple people, that you learn how to do it more, you know? Like you get a better chemistry as a band. So the older shit sounds better nowadays than it did back then. But you could also tell what's old and what's new, because nowadays we actually know how to put some shit together. Like we know like the structure of shit and like what's going on with that.
Yeah, we did kind of start taking our time more. I think early on we kind of realized we were doing like a show every 2 weeks. So we were really just cranking
very
out
different
songs.
time. Very different.
And we were,
Imagine
like,
doing a show every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
now.
I could.
literally.
Damn.
And like we were like all, me and Max were both in school at the time. Like Max is out of school now, but like, and we were working and stuff. Like all of us were working and stuff. So it was like, literally there were times where like we would have to like take days off like every 2 weeks and like go do like a show or something. And it was
Right.
like, I think at a certain point I was like in school full time, working
Yeah.
2 jobs, practicing every week. And then, haha, see you on Friday, LOL, you know, like,
Get to the
Yeah.
gig.
yeah,
There's a lot of shit
literally.
to do.
Like
Yeah.
just bags under my eyes. Just like, get to the gig, guys, please.
Like the smiling face, but like there's tears, you know?
Yeah,
How
very
you doing,
that.
son? And you're just like the void. It just
Literally the void.
Just hay fever.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fine. I'm coping, guys. I'm coping. But you know, like it was really different because it's like we were all like a lot younger, you know, and it was like even in like the last
2 years younger.
I was 19.
Hey,
I
that
was
was
like
a-
a
yeah,
baby.
that was a
a
different
lot
time.
happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
that's true.
We've aged like 70 years in the last like 2 years.
God, yeah.
I'm sure
like-
there's like some actual science behind that too, or something.
There's gotta be at this point. But yeah, like it's like cute and it's cool and it's fun, but it's like, I don't know, it's really hard to identify with stuff you wrote when you're 19, when you're 22. You
Yeah,
know what I
right.
mean? So it's like, I love it and I'll always have love for it and stuff, but it's like, okay, I'm kind of over it now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's a very natural progression for most bands. Like, kind of like the stereotype you see is when like a band has like a defining hit or something from like long ago in their career. People are still like, play the single or play this song. And then the band is just depressed and they just do it anyways because other people are going to throw beer cans at them.
Like creep.
Yeah, play Creep Radiohead, which probably aren't even a band anymore. Yeah, no, I think it makes sense that like having some time to kind of exist as a band without overworking yourselves kind of gives that space to grow as musicians and take care of yourselves at least a little bit, I hope.
Exactly.
Self-care. We promote that here on the Ear Coffee podcast. Drink water, jerk.
Loser or else.
Yeah, or else. We love you.
Stay hydrated.
We're really bullying all 6 of our listeners a lot today.
Yeah. It's on site.
Hey, but we really bullying ourselves too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not me. I stay hydrated.
Yeah,
but
y'all be.
I know I gotta get some more sleep. There's that.
I'm
And I
the
should
one
have
with
ate
the water
breakfast.
bottle in front of me right now, so
Listen. I drank like water before I left. See,
Okay.
I was
Sure.
living my best life. Shut up.
hydration aside. We don't want to get too into this because don't want to be too self-important, but at least release-wise, the next thing you did was the digital and the CD release for the session that y'all were kind enough to do with us, which was the first session we did with our current format. So it kind of just set us off on that kind of trajectory, which is we're very grateful for. Still the most poppin', most viewed session, so definitely check it if you haven't.
I'm glad.
2 songs from the first EP from Papercut, 3 songs that would end up on the new EP, Nosebleed.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about Nosebleed in a moment. But the main question I kind of want to ask is that y'all got to work with Solidarity Club Records, which is a really cool label, I think based out of LA,
LA,
I think,
yeah.
like West Coast,
Yeah.
to do a physical release. So I'm curious, how did you connect with those folks and kind of work all that together? Because that's just was a very out of the blue and very cool opportunity for us, because I don't think we found out about it until it was like announced.
Yeah.
Which is obviously we're very happy with it. It was like, oh damn, what? Okay, cool. So yeah, how did that come about?
They hit us up like over Twitter and were like, hey, y'all are really sick. Like, we would want to release something with y'all. Do you have anything coming up? And like, Nosebleed wasn't even an option because it was like still, it was 2020. Like, there was no chance that like we were going to be able to get into like a studio anytime soon or anything like that. So I was like, hey, we're kind of doing this. This is pretty cool. And they dropped and they did it. And that was pretty, they like printed out some CDs and stuff. And we're like, hey, yeah, we made these. And then they shipped us a bunch of them. And then, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very low key. That's kind of how things are with people just connecting over Twitter. It's like someone DMs someone else and they're like, hey, want to do a thing? And then everyone's like, yeah.
It's like,
And
yeah,
then it
cool. We're
happened.
soul bonded now. Sick.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. I think there are still copies available on their web store. So
There are,
definitely
yeah.
check it
I
out
just
if you
looked
haven't.
the other day, actually. Yeah.
Cool. So there's a large gap there, obviously,
Yeah.
from October 2020 to January 21st of this year,
void.
which is when the EP came out. There's a void where everyone, like the only real break through the clouds, like of the light, were just getting to play a handful of shows. Which, yeah, how did those opportunities kind of come about? How did you feel about those, especially after a lot of people just felt weird about coming back to shows after so long
Yeah.
spent away for very valid reasons. At least I was lucky enough to catch y'all twice. So
Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally in the house right now, so like, why wouldn't we be? Yeah, just to kind of talk about some of those experiences, especially with kind of the knowledge that you were at least working more immediately towards Nosebleed, even if you haven't recorded it just yet. And playing those songs, kind of finding the energy for those songs live as well as practice before recording. So just, I mean, you got to play with the Gully Boys, got to play a show with like Bugsy and some other sick bands at Part Wolf, Rest in Piss. I say that lovingly, don't worry. But just talk about some of those opportunities and just, must have been pretty nuts.
I think something cool that happened, I guess, like once we started meeting up and practicing again after so long, is that kind of like before we were very into like being punk and being introspective in that way, but we were just kind of went into our more like, I guess this sounds cliche, but like our emotional era. And I don't know, I kind of appreciated that because that brought like a different raw energy instead of just being like, here's very clearly what we're saying versus like how we've been feeling behind the scenes for the past year. And that's why Brainworms is kind of like one of my favorite songs that I feel like came from that area of being in the void for so long and then coming back. Cause that one is just like, I don't know, very deep in that, like how all of us kind of been like feeling like without all of these things happening and just with everything going on. So I thought that was very cool. And then when we played our first show after, which I think was at that
That was
garage
the house
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I missed doing that stuff. Like I knew I missed it, but once we actually did it, like I definitely cried because I was like, I forgot how important and how big that was in my life. And after so long not doing it, I just kind of like, I don't know,
Overwhelming.
detached a little bit from
Right.
it. So it was definitely a cool way to come back to what we were kind of doing before too. In that
In
sense.
a more manageable sense where y'all weren't getting super burnt out, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. It feels good to do shows. Feels good, but you can't always do them because how the fuck the world is set up right now with all this
Yeah.
shit going on. But feels good to that we got to get back there a couple times. During that little dip before the shit got bad again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the second out of however many there will be, like little dips where we're like,
Right.
oh, are things
Right.
cool again? Can we do stuff? And then nope.
Right.
Yeah, America can't even figure it out.
Exactly.
It was like fun, but like weird getting back into everything because it's like you kind of really notice like you have to be really kind of adamant, like, hey, please wear a mask. Please be normal. Like,
It goes over your
yeah,
nose too.
yeah,
buddy.
like don't be cringe. Basically,
Yeah.
long story short, and that's like a really hard thing to like have to. Because like normally it's like, you know, you don't really think about those things like beforehand. It was just like you pull up, you bring your ID, you're chilling, you know, or whatever.
There's like less accountability.
Yeah,
honestly.
literally.
Yeah, or-
You just show
right.
up
almost
and
like less need for it unless like you see
Right.
something
Right.
like very immediately like happening in front of you, like someone falls over. Now there's so many
Exactly.
other like little pieces of the etiquette, and for some reason like the band is responsible for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like weird to kind of have to be on top of things, I guess. And it's like I talked to some of my other friends that like do music and stuff, and like we all kind of notice the same things. And it's just like, hey, dude, just don't be cringe, be safe. Because if you're not safe, then I'm not gonna be safe, and I'm gonna have to fight you, and that's not cool. You know, I don't want to I don't want to fight nobody. I'm a Pisces. Like, I don't want to do that.
It's people not being on top of it. Then that's the reason why we're not doing shows now. You feel me? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you want to
Right.
keep doing this in the long term. Just, you know, got to stick with the program a little bit, you know?
Yeah, to take the slightest bit of responsibility for yourself so everyone can continue to do things.
Right.
Apparently that's too hard.
Yeah.
And if that's a controversial stance, turn off this podcast, please.
Literally, thankfully, everybody that like fucks with us has been like more than like on top of that type of stuff. Like everybody that's like popped out to like our shows, like at least like the shows that like have been in actual places, because there was a house, like the house show that we did was fun, but it was kind of chaotic a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the cops
Cops
came
pulled
to
it.
that one.
Three times, yeah.
Three
I
times?
thought
Yeah.
it
Were
was
they fans?
twice.
I think it was twice.
Twice
Oh my
no,
God.
once
But it
during
should have been
Allergen
a
and
third
twice
time.
during us. I think.
Oh,
No,
well,
or
it was
twice
twice.
during Allergen.
There
was
was
multiple.
Oh,
Yeah.
Astaghfirullah. They came once during Allergen and once during us. Sorry, I be
Okay.
lying sometimes. I keep it
Well-
99 out of 100.
Yeah, I thought it was
exactly.
twice. It was like 2 times during our set. We played like a 10-minute set. They'd have to just
They'd
like
have to-
drive around the
Yeah,
block.
Literally.
I'm glad we played SPPDK when they pulled up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm glad that one was
Fun
on.
fact, that wasn't going to be the first song we played, but
Yeah.
we said, you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
we
had to
kind of
do
get
it.
together.
We
Let's
gotta
get out of the way.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
It'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, facts. And also too, it was just like channeling into the energy because everyone else was feeling like frustrated, I guess.
Aggie as hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which we all felt. So we were just
Was
like,
this
yeah,
like
we
noise complaints or something?
Yeah.
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 And it's like
Lame.
Old ass neighbor.
Yeah.
literally. And it's like the people that ran that venue, because it's like that's like a house that like, you know, because I go to Hamlin and those are like a lot of my friends. I think like Kate Malanafy stay out there. and
Oh, was
stuff.
that
Yeah,
Yeah.
Motel.
Motel 420?
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Also,
yes,
rest
yes.
in piss.
Also
Yeah.
rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Respectfully.
Yeah, literally. Like, cause I'd been to that house before, and there were like mad parties out there, like a couple years ago. Like, not really much anymore, obviously.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but like when I was like a freshman and sophomore in college, like the neighbors were like Aggie kind of, but they weren't like Aggie like that before. So it was kind of like, oh,
probably like 2 years of marinating though.
hi.
That's probably what it was, honestly.
Uh-huh.
They've been in the deep fryer for way too long.
Literally, the pressure cooker.
We're,
Yeah.
we're loud. It's also like 7 p.m. though. Like,
Not even. It was literally like
oh yeah.
hardly. It was like
Yeah.
bright as hell
Right.
outside.
I feel like it would,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like smooth, like 6:30.
They're just waiting
Yeah.
for an excuse to do it, probably.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, at least the other two shows didn't have a
Yeah.
police
Literally,
presence, fortunately.
literally. Because it's like shit like that stresses me because it's like our audience is like, you know, really like black and brown and really like queer and trans and stuff. And that's like
Yeah.
just not safe. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like
no.
that just sends me like that's not a good thing. Please.
Yeah.
There's just that additional layer of
Yeah. And it's like,
nerves and anxiety.
again, like literally,
Valid reasons.
and it's like literally just like the neighbors are being Aggie. I hate people that's like their first instinct is like, I gotta call the police.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right, why can't you just come out and just
Yeah,
like talk
right.
to us? Because we'll be more than accommodating.
Yeah,
Like,
Are you not
literally.
wrong? What
Just
they
be
is.
normal.
it's like it's just
They
people in
don't
their
wanna
early
be
20s.
normal,
There's
though.
nothing to be afraid
Yeah.
of. Yeah, there's a lot of like, okay, like one thing on the less like happy to be here energy. There's a lot of old toxic house show like culture that I see people are still trying to like kind of bring back because it's what existed before.
Yeah.
But it needs to not exist now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
People just don't know what to do since they went so long without having access to this. They're like, well, I guess we should just recreate the status quo,
Right.
right?
We should.
Right.
No.
Instead of like trying to update like literally anything.
Right.
It's like, I get it. Like you want to just be able to go to shows again, but like they weren't safe before. So why not take this
Right.
very obvious opportunity to try to make them at least slightly safer now
Yeah.
and make those steps of improvement, not just kind of doing what you're saying. We're just
Exactly.
resting on their old ways and putting people in harm's way, literally.
One thing I liked about Motel 420 is they always like made you like RSVP. Like you weren't allowed to just like show up, which was really bad. And they were like, "Are you vaccinated? Yes or no? Like prove it." You know? Because like I went to a house show one time, and I'm not gonna name names because I'm a good person and I'm seeing the pearly gates someday.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. But I went to this show once, and they took my $5. But they didn't ask for my vaccine card at all, ever. And I was just like, okay, super spreader, like slay.
They had a whole system. They already had everyone in a line.
Right.
Like, if you got everybody lined up already, ask for the card too. It takes like 2 seconds.
No, literally.
Come on.
Literally.
Bare minimum.
And this was like in the fall when it was just norms to do that at that point. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know about all that. I'm too grown for this. I don't know about all
The
this.
only house show I've been to, besides the one that literally we threw, that wasn't really a house show, was like, we're gonna let like 20 people in, so it's not weird for the bands.
Yeah.
Was kind of a similar situation where like, give us your $5, and most people aren't masked. No one was checking vax cards, and I mean, like this was also kind of like in the fall, like early winter, where pre-Omicron.
I think we might have been
I
at
think
the
this
same
is
show.
the same show. I literally think we're talking about the same show.
That's the same place.
It's literally the exact same venue. Well, I'm glad we feel the same.
Yeah.
I'm not
Nice.
surprised.
Honestly, like the most positive experiences I feel like we've had at house venues are like the venues that take that stuff kind of seriously. Because like, you know, like growing up, like going to like house shows, everything was always super, super casual. And I feel like it being that casual and no one taking responsibility or organizing has actually created a hand in creating some of like the weird toxic shit that would happen.
Yeah.
So I think like I don't know if this place is around anymore, but like the Murder Trap,
Oh, yeah.
like that
she
was
closed.
very, this was
They
obviously
closed.
they closed. Yeah, that was obviously before like COVID and all that, but like I remember they were just very on top of it, very organized, and I feel like honestly, even though it might not sound very punk rock, but like I feel like that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think it's more punk rock to not be cringe, to
Facts.
be honest.
That's facts.
Like,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Like taking something seriously is very punk rock actually.
As
Yeah, I'd love when you can
previously
tell
now,
a-
but especially now. Or, yeah.
Right.
love when you can tell a venue is run by adults who act like adults.
Yeah.
Like,
Ah.
Yes, that's a fact.
Instead
Actually.
of like a freshman who's just
Right,
like, I like
yeah.
house shows. And then
Yeah.
they just people
Yeah.
get hurt.
PTSD.
yeah.
Oh my God.
The worst thing about house shows is that you could have a room full of creeps vibing out to a song called "Fuck the Creeps."
Yes, yes.
Oh my God.
And they'll be like, "This is my song. That's my friend."
Yeah.
Like it's like, bro.
that's my bestie.
Yeah,
You gotta listen to them, bro. Take their advice.
Take the hint.
Stop being
Yeah.
a creep.
Like I said, I was lucky enough to see a couple of the shows, and
Yeah.
it sounds like that energy influenced how y'all went into Nosebleed, especially recording with Abe. I'm just gonna keep saying it because if you haven't listened or bought it, I mean, there's a Bandcamp Friday coming up, but maybe
February
wait hold
4th.
off February 4th. But if not, Nosebleed is out now. Came on the 21st. I think it feels like a very natural continuation, but also evolution for the band, where it's still kind of the same kind of overarching formula of kind of like some like kind of tongue-in-cheek and humor, kind of almost like create some, there's natural like relatability, but also just like not negating the politics and the actual like emotions behind the songs, which I think is always really cool when a hardcore band can kind of funnel those two things together. It's mostly some older songs, at least that have not been released yet, but have written or at least been working on for quite some time. Plus at least a couple ones that are new to listeners, new to me. First and foremost, SPPDK is probably the oldest song on there because I think
No.
that
Is
no.
it?
Number
Number one fan is
Oh,
Number
my
one
God,
fan?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Number one fan is actually from, if you go all the way back to Paper Cut, I believe Number One fan is
I
on
don't
that.
think it,
Is it not?
No, it's not on
but
there.
we performed it at our first show ever.
But yeah,
We
we did
did.
perform it
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
show.
I believe
Yeah,
you
that's
did
an
it
old
at-
one.
You did
It is in that
with our
era.
session.
It was like one of the first
Yeah.
three we made.
But I don't think it had been released
Yeah.
before that.
The first
Okay.
one we made was White and Rich, but Number One Fan might have probably been number 2 or 3. You know, like
Okay.
it was like up there in the early. But it wasn't like, now it's kind of got some more shine to it because it's in this
I
newer
actually
form.
love that song.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's a
good.
classic.
Shout
catchy.
out.
Classic, yeah. Kind of continuing what you were saying, Gage, about just like kind of the new way the band has been approaching songs with these two songs that have been in the band's kind of like world for quite some time. How did you kind of take that new approach that you were kind of finding for, especially for the actually newer songs, but also for just kind of revitalizing these songs that have you've been working on for a while, especially with SPPDK, and I guess even since it's even older, number one fan. How did that kind of mindset and different approach to songwriting and arrangement, how you put songs together, how did you kind of mix those two since you'd been working on these songs for so long? That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it was honestly like, it was really natural. Like we were like kind of just like, oh, when we came back to it all, we were kind of like, here's kind of what we remember. Here's like the songs that we wrote before we disappeared into the abyss, and then like wanted to go back to, because we actually wrote like SPPDK. It was like a draft kind of, and we were writing it literally when I was like sick with like basically proto COVID in like February 2020, and so it didn't really have like an opportunity to like be really anything for a while. So it was kind of like, here's an idea. We want to show our friends this idea, you know, because like our band was still like really, really baby at the time, you know, so it was kind of just like you throw shit on Bandcamp and are like, here, check it out.
Please.
Yeah, check it out. It's pretty fun and cool, you know. So then we disappeared into the abyss for 750 years because Max went back to...
We actually didn't know Max was going to come back.
Yeah, literally.
That's a fun fact.
SPPDK was the last thing we did before I went back home because COVID had reached the US at that point. It was like March 2020, and my parents were like, hey, we want to take you home for spring break. And then I went home for spring break. And then by the time spring break was over, it was
the floodgates had opened.
no longer safe to travel. And so I ended up back in Montana till like
September.
Yeah, August.
September. I remember because I was crying and throwing up the whole time.
Yeah, sorry, missed you.
I missed you too.
But yeah, no band shit occurred during. Well, actually, no, we released Paper Cut during that. So.
And we did an interview. We were actually
we stayed pretty active.
I forced you to be productive. I had like the whip ready, like.
Yeah, everything but actually making music and doing shows. Like we did some shit during that time. Like it was kind of the time. I feel like
that's part of being a band.
Yeah, you know, all the shit besides the main part,
right?
Which is like the music aspect of it. You know,
fun part.
That was kind of like the business side of things.
Part.
You know, and also like it's crazy. Like you know, we're a band that's been around for like just like a little bit over 2 years, but it's been a crazy fucking 2 years. For that to have been the 2 years, it's been like a decade. But in 2 years, you know, like all the different shit that's happened.
A lot of events.
Covered a lot of the bases that bands maybe don't get to during the first 2.5 years of their existence.
Right.
Which is maybe not one of the potentially more positive things that everybody kind of being stuck has like allowed bands to work on a lot of the other stuff that maybe they wouldn't have prioritized in favor of the, as you said, the fun stuff, like actually recording, writing, playing shows. And kind of just be, like I said, being able to cover all the bases. With Number One Fan specifically, kind of, since that is the oldest song, how did you end up wanting to bring this song back and put it on the EP, and maybe just talk a little bit about how it's grown and how you initially approached it, and just tell us the story of that song.
I think why Number One Fans like was the only one that stuck through all of that is because I think something we really enjoy is, I guess, like catchy riffs and just like shut up, play ball. That like when we like figured, once we like put that together, we were just like, wait, that's cool just to have like something punchy and catchy and just like something like people can sing along to.
Scream along to,
Right.
Yeah.
I would even argue too, like even some pop element as well, and just like structuring it more like that than like the stereotypical like hardcore, we're just gonna yell and keep yelling and
there
shit.
might be a breakdown.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think like that song, like I guess like looking back at it now, that one was kind of a breakthrough writing process, because honestly everything after that song, like the songs that we've kept, they all have like that
like the
catchy
poppiness.
like that poppy like catchy chorus thing. So I think that's why that one's like still here, and that's like I think that one influenced all the other ones that came along, because I think after that, because SPPDK was definitely written after that, and that still follows that similar format.
I was just thinking that, like
That's
with like the chorus and just
right.
part that people can either like sing, shout along to.
It's the call and response. It's like all the way back, way beginnings of music, the shut up, play ball, and then SPPDK does the same thing with the Track 12 and then the little drum fill.
That's
And
the real
also-
crowd movers, you know. Like when people listen
Right.
to it, that's the
Yeah.
one. If you look out at the crowd, and people will really that causes the most movement, because
Right.
that's just like a human instinct.
Also too,
No, that
it
type
pairs
of music.
well with your performance. Because you're
Yeah.
very interactive with the crowd.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that was also a natural thing for you to do on stage. too.
Yeah. I think there's like the shot that I think Joe took at like the Part Wolf show where like you're holding the mic out over the audience.
Yeah.
Like that's
I'm not even.
very much taking advantage of the,
I was like, I'm not
the
here.
song structure and
This is a great picture.
yeah.
I'm not even real. Stop. I'm not even a real person.
Never been a boring show.
But yeah, that was really fun because it was like that's something that I've kind of noticed a lot. Like, and I noticed it when we came back actually at that Motel 420 show when we played SPPDK live. I think in front of people for the first time. Like actually as a
Like the
finished
final
song.
version?
Yeah. When we finished it like for the first time, it was like literally there were people like yelling at me like play ball and I'm just like I want to kiss you guys. Like thank you. Like
Nice.
you know. So it was really cool. And especially like songs like that, like the call and response stuff, like Max actually like wrote the lyrics for Number One Fan.
Yeah,
Like it was
we kind of went backwards on that one
We did.
because
I
I
wrote the
wrote
drums.
lyrics and Cycle wrote drums.
Exactly.
So
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
do remember that
yeah,
actually.
we traded.
the switcheroo. I think did the drum part came first or the lyrics came first?
Oh, wait. I think the lyrics actually came first because remember the story, like what happened earlier that day, and then we were talking about it, and then we were like, we should write about that.
Yeah. Context. There was a scandal at my school where people on the hockey team were saying the N-word and stuff.
Oh, yep.
So Lamau.
As someone who went to Edina, yeah.
Yeah, literally. As someone I went to Richfield, I hated you guys.
I'm like, I'm from Minneapolis. I just want to go to theater practice.
So
Why,
simple.
why is everybody
Loved it.
throwing cake at each other?
Wow, classism, crazy.
Yeah, no, that was. I remember we were like talking about that, and then
Yeah.
we were like, I think we were also talking, and then that transitioned to like how like the history and how fucked up like sports are with that, like all of just everything, and I like and then we were just like, we're gonna write about sports, even though none of us play sports ever.
I don't know what y'all mean. I'm like a
Watch,
Sigma Alpha Chad.
Athlete.
Yeah, literally. I'm
Varsity,
an Olympian. Yeah.
Oh
You don't
wow.
have to make
I'm Michael
sense of
Phelps, like in
varsity
a
athlete.
costume.
So kind of touching back with SPBDK and also Am I Punk Yet? Those are two of the songs on this EP that are very clearly aimed at like, I guess, more human targets, very tangible targets versus like the idea of sports maybe, or like the
Right.
idea of our pandemic experience and kind of coping with that. And those are also two of the songs that I think people can get really fired up for at shows. It's a very immediate thing to latch onto, especially with kind of the community and I always feel weird saying fan base because we're all just people trying to
Right.
just do our thing.
The homies,
The
the
homies,
besties.
yeah. Yeah, like the people that are at Blue Venus shows definitely connect with that, especially. So it's with regard to Nosebleed versus, since I know SPBDK is older, talk a little bit about those songs and kind of how you were able to bring them together and maybe use some of that live experience to kind of energize them as you finalized them for recording. Because I think they do retain some of that live energy when you listen to them, but always, obviously with just the type of music Blue Venus makes, it's always going to be better live. But we'll take an EP. We'll so yeah,
Nice.
just with those kind of two songs that I, for some reason, categorized together in my brain. Talk a little bit about those.
Those came together actually within like the same like 3 weeks. Like those are very much like siblings, kinda. Cause like the main thing about them is like the way they changed is they got faster and they got angrier. Like cause there was a lot going on with especially like police presence within the last like 2 years, and stuff, which, St. Paul Police Department, if by any chance you are listening to this, I hate you.
Yeah, what
Nope.
stop.
Facts.
What
Yeah,
are you doing?
I hate you. If
Why
any-
are you listening to this?
Facts.
Literally.
This is not a safe place.
Yeah, literally. Did not forget August 7th. I hate you guys. You will not stop my shows.
Facts.
Don't do it.
But the main thing is like they just got faster because like we just honestly got like angrier and like we were in the house all the time, so we were like going feral and like foaming at the mouth and stuff. So it was really fun to like make those faster because like people like to hit each other when they go faster.
I also got better at playing faster. So.
Yeah, your mind is so
We
powerful.
all got better, Max.
You did.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what happens when a band plays together for a few years.
Nice.
I can scream really
better.
loud now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those songs especially, like they kind of got especially energized, like honestly, especially with like Am I Punk Yet, like people like especially like in the pandemic, like politically, a lot of people showed their ass.
Yeah.
You know, which was really kind of funny to watch. So it's just like,
Oh, you've been clowns this whole time.
this whole time. It's like I could,
Yeah.
you know, like when you can tell, but you don't want to say nothing because nobody
Right.
said nothing yet, and you don't want to be like the person that's like, oh,
What if there's like the 1% chance I am wrong and
Yeah.
then I'm the
Right.
asshole?
literally, because it's like I don't want to look like a dick, you know. So it's like I'm not really trying to be mean. I am trying to be mean, but I don't want to look mean, you know. But like a lot of people showed their ass and stuff. So it's just like, oh, y'all really thought this was just aesthetics for real. Y'all really aren't about it.
Right.
So that kind of like inspired when we got back together. It was kind of like we were a lot more like, wow, people are clowns for real. So it kind of inspired us to make it like a little bit more emotional. Also, like I wasn't sick. So because
Fair.
when we came up with those songs, like I was sick, like super sick, like could hardly talk. And I worked at the Mall of America at the time. So
So sorry.
I
Yeah.
thank you. But yeah, so you know, it was like a lot easier to make them more how we wanted them to be at the time, but when we didn't have like literally the facilities for that
You
yet.
just kind of were able to work on and create the means. Also, just like naturally were able to create the songs and make them how you wanted to from the get go.
Because we have like the skills for that now, because we
Yeah.
didn't at the time
Growth.
as much.
Wow.
Yeah, we love to see it.
I think we also talked too also on that because we reflected a lot on like our intent and what we wanted our impact to be. And I think we talked a lot about how like songs like that and like messages like that need to be more prevalent in this hardcore scene because a lot of the hardcore scene around here is not friendly to those ideals, which makes no sense. And a lot of like there's some really cool punk bands here, but there's some really weird punk bands here. And it's like it feels like two very distinct groups. Like there's like bands that I feel like in theory we should be playing with them, but like when you meet their vibe and you know what they're kind of about, you realize that's not the vibe.
like you're in
So-
the same like kind of created scene,
Right.
like the same like genre, quote unquote,
Right.
from like for the very reductive sense. But then there's also just like zero overlap besides that. And it's like
Right.
stop trying to force us to work together.
Yeah, we're not
Right.
friends.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
The
So
type
like
of music that like we make is always that type of whole style of music has always been about fucking, you know, the shit that's going on in the world, you know. It's always
Literally.
been about, you know, you gotta stand for something. This is what the fuck we stand for, you know. And if you standing for that other shit, the type of people that we talking about in My Punk Yet, they fuck you. We're gonna make that known and shit, you know.
Yeah, it's
just
kind
like
of
taking that space, you know.
Right?
yeah,
you
it's
know,
almost like ironic.
we gotta
because-
make them look dumb.
yeah.
Yes.
You gotta
Facts.
make you look real stupid, and then everyone will think like, oh yeah, that is kind of dumb that you're like that. That is kind of dumb that like you're a fucking Trump supporter or like
you're
some
here,
type of, or
yeah.
you still supporting Mitt Romney or whatever the fuck for some
Yeah.
reason. You gotta feel a little stupid about that, and you gotta have people looking at them like, oh, they are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
If you like, or like, if you fuck with the cops or you're neutral about them, you gotta feel stupid about that shit.
Yeah.
Cause look at the fucking world we live in. Like, what the fuck? Like, how fucking stupid do you gotta be to even not even see certain shit? You know, like it's got to be on purpose, and you got to feel dumb about that shit.
And then
you know?
like occupy the same space
Right.
as all
Yeah.
those people.
You're
like
finished,
just
yeah.
yeah,
As
no,
the
like-
people that are very
Yeah.
vocally anti that, or even just like
Yeah.
the people that are anti that and also suffering from these things that they are against because
Double
they're
opinions.
suffering from them. Yeah.
Dumb opinions are not just opinions. A lot of times,
Yeah.
you know, the things that you put out in the world, they have a real world impact that's beyond just people thinking shit or people having an opinion. You know,
This isn't
A
just
lot
like
of shit
a
has a
song
real
that you
impact.
wrote because you wanted to write a song. This
Right,
is a
you
song
know?
fueled by
The world.
the
Yeah.
world
Yeah,
and
you
your
know?
life experiences.
sometimes I feel like some people hear our music and they think we're trying to be edgy, and we're really not. Like these are all the things that we really believe and we're saying
Right.
with our chest. Like I think some people are like, "Oh, haha, yeah, that's cool," but like,
Oh,
no,
punk
we're
band
making
is
a statement.
anti-cop. It's like no, they literally are, as they
Yeah.
should be.
Literally.
yeah, like
I think like people sometimes get like some people are really bad at understanding satire, and that's like a really thing that I've like noticed with like especially like playing shows again, and you'll have like, you know, the casuals, like sorry, the normies. Yeah, I'm sorry y'all, but they'll be like, wow, that was really intense, and like that was so
loud.
yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, wow. Like, no, please. I will like I'm not gonna say that. Never mind.
Well, it's like weird because it's like
Yeah.
very raw and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like the topics that are being said, and then someone just being like, "That was intense." Like, what does that mean?
It's like,
you
bitch.
know?
the world is intense,
That's,
man.
that's like backhanded.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
this
yeah.
is reflection.
And it's like they don't really get that it's like a satire, you know? It's like if anything, like, especially like Am I Punk Yet? Like, I'm sorry if you don't realize that that's like a satire, like you gotta get like a brain cell exam. Like, I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
but you know, like it's like things like that where people kind of like, you know, it's very much like the girls that get it, the girls that don't, you know? And that's kind of what's fun about making music like that, because it's like, it can be polarizing, but it's fun to polarize the people that you don't want around you in the first place. You know, make them feel uncomfortable, stress them out, make them sweat and get goosebumps and die.
I think that's definitely one of our core values, is making those people uncomfortable.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And then when they think that they're comfortable, it's like, no,
Why would you ever think that?
Whoosh, completely missing the point.
Everybody point and laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of, this is what you were saying, Will, is it almost like kind of ironic or almost funny, where like these bands or these people are purporting to like stand for these things, and or like trying to protect like the fact that they are either against these, like they're either like pro cop, or to use that example, or very they're neutral, whatever the hell that means. And they're trying to exist in these spaces or create music in this vein, and without doing anything that the actual like music is built on, which is what being like using what your life experiences, like what's going on in the world, and just kind of fueling that into the music, as you do, as a lot, pretty much every great hardcore band has. And then there's like Trump supporters who are just like, what if I play 2 riffs or like 2 chords and I'm a hardcore band now?
It's like an arsonist playing firefighter music. What the fuck is going on here?
So the 2 songs we have not touched on as much from Nosebleed are the 2 newer songs, at least newer to listeners who are checking out at least online versus seeing you guys live, and that's Brainworms and Under the Rug. When did these songs start coming about? What were kind of the inspirations from them? I know Gage kind of talked about Brainworms earlier, so maybe just continue his thoughts. Just talk about those newer songs and letting them match the energy of the older songs.
Me and Gage were like kind of like, because there were times where like Max couldn't show up because like you had work or something, or like you were there was some type of something going on. And Will couldn't show up to practice because, you know, they're really busy in like their own life and have like a whole bunch of other things going on. We're kind of like, it's easy for like these 3 to be like me, Max, and Gage to be on the same schedule, because Max and Gage live together. And, you know, like me and Max are dating. So it's like all, you know, it's really easy to just be like, hey, I'm already at your house.
Yeah, I'm literally in your basement.
I literally am like in your room right now, sleeping with your stuffed animals, like just chilling, KO'd. You feel me? But it's like, Will is kind of like on an entirely different like wavelength, you know, like they got a fiance, like you're grown.
Oh, damn.
You know, I got a kid on the way. Shout out to my kid.
Yeah, shout out to your kid.
Congratulations. Hell yeah.
Real grown era. Meanwhile, I'm like, haha, Lamau, like I'm playing Pokemon on my computer. You know, like,
hey, don't knock it. New Pokemon just came out yesterday. It's freaking sick.
I want it so bad.
No, Dylan got it. It looks super cool.
I want to be here.
We'll talk about this later after the podcast is over.
Me and my ADHD era.
Yeah, we kind of did end up like dividing and conquering lately for the both the EP and practicing for that 7th Street show. We had a lot of I think it was
like 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Or 3. Like it was like sometimes like the instrumentals would all link up, like because you know I'm in Bloomington and I can't drive, and it's like, you know, you got to go pick up cycle, like you can't, you know, like it's bare far, you know, so it was difficult. So like they would like really grind instrumental stuff, which was honestly like really clutch, because it made for like a lot of like improvement on that front. So it made it like really like instrumentally tight and stuff. And then like for songwriting, like me and Gage would like link up sometimes, because like, you know, he's like one of my best friends. So it's like we would already just be like hanging out, getting coffee, you know, being quirky and cute or whatever. And and like I would be like, oh, hey, how about we write about this? You know, like here's something that's been on my brain. I've been staring at the walls for the past 6 months while my boyfriend has been in Montana. You know, like let's, you know, talk about like how brain damaging like this pandemic has been. And I think like I see like some other songs popping out like that lately as well, because it's like, you know, like Russian Doll by Gully Boys of like the, you know, just kind of coping with the pandemic brain damage. And I think that that's like a really overarching theme that a lot of people, especially like who were doing a lot and doing a lot and doing a lot, and then it went quiet. You know, like I think that was like a really,
without any preparation, you're just kind of like cut off from all your support systems. You're like, well,
guess I'll die.
Guess I'll die.
You know, so it was like really kind of, it wasn't necessarily like inspired by that, because I think we were in the process of writing Brainworms by the time like Russian Doll came out. So it was just like, wait, it's not just us. Yeah. And that felt really, really cool to see. So it was like, let's unpack this and like go with it more. And like Brainworms was literally just like the I just want to go home part for a while. And then it didn't have like any of like the bridge or nothing or any different words or nothing. Like literally at a certain point, it was just me screaming into the abyss laying on the floor, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it was really kind of cathartic to talk about those things because it's like, it's weird to be personal, you know? Like it's really weird to just be like, oh, hey, here is how I'm feeling. You know, especially like in an environment where I kind of avoided talking about my own personal feelings. Like not like I talked about my thoughts, you know, but not like my feelings. And
like,
that was like weird.
Kind of stereotypically, like a lot of like heavier music or like hardcore is more about the message or about like the topic versus like the thoughts and feelings of the people making the music.
Yeah.
And there's kind of that gap you have to bridge to get there. And tough.
It was weird to kind of spin that on its head a little bit because it's like, what does being in like a punk band mean, you know? And it's like, I think it's a lot more fun and a lot more interesting to be able to like outwardly talk about how you're feeling, I think, because I think that it's really easy to just kind of separate yourself from your music and just be like, yeah, this is what I believe, but it's like, is it who I am, you know? And that's like a hard thing to think about. So it was a really kind of like eye-opening moment that I had when I was like writing that song with Gage and was just like, yeah, no, like this is kind of how it is. Like this is how I've been feeling. Let's put it to something, you know? And then Under the Rug, like it kind of came from a similar sentiment because do you remember like in like 2020 where like everybody was like, there was like a really big movement of people exposing like abusers and assaulters and horrible people like in the scene and stuff. Like I remember
summer.
that. Yeah, like last summer or the summer before actually.
Oh my God.
Time
isn't real. We'll
time
say
is an
say it
illusion.
now and again.
Yeah. But like there was a lot of times where there were like abusers and stuff getting exposed, and there was a situation where there was somebody who was actually really close to the band and stuff who literally got exposed, you know, for being like a really horrible shit person. And like I was helping, you know, like some of my friends unpack that and kind of like, wow, that was shitty. Should I expose them for this? And I'm just like, yeah, you should like tell people, you know? And that person was very, very close to like the band and like to me and Max especially and to Gage as well, but I'm not gonna like, you know, spill his business or anything obviously, but you know, like it was there were like people who were really shitty and really predatory and nobody knew because it was just like, you know, you don't talk about it, Lamau, but then
people
like
hide it.
Yeah,
Keep it
literally.
hidden.
Exactly. So that kind of really, and then seeing like so many just like other people like in the scene just get like, hey, you are a bad, like this person is a bad person because they did this and this and this and this, you know? And it's just like the concept of like, you know, things like that getting swept under the rug.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of really unpacked that and we're like, yeah, we should talk about this because that was like a low-key traumatic time of like a lot of people reliving like abusive shit and like
weekly almost.
literally daily at a certain point. Shit was crazy.
And it's tough to when you find out these when people not who they turn out to be, you know, and you find out certain things about people. It's like, oh, I was around you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like what the
Literally.
fuck? But you know, like when that shit happens, you know what's gonna happen. You know, because you know there's a lot of bad people in this world. You know, there's a lot of people that you know, doing the wrong things, and that type of shit gotta, you know, be addressed at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
It all comes out eventually.
Yeah.
It's just it's fucked up. Don't do that type of shit. If you're listening, don't do it.
I would
'Cause
hope
we gonna
that-
get you.
Yeah.
True.
It's an actionable threat.
Yeah, literally. And I think it's like it's really good and important to like be able to facilitate a scene to have those kind of conversations and stuff because like anything that can make people who have dealt with that type of shit like feel acknowledged and like welcomed and understood, you know, I think that that's really important.
And not in danger.
Literally and
in the most
literally
immediate sense.
Precisely, literally. Like they don't get like backlash or nothing like that, like or hurt for coming out with that story and like those like, you know, your experience in it. So it's like, it's really hard to, I don't know. I think it's really important to facilitate a scene like that because I know like people who have like been completely turned off from like the Minnesota scene because of like literally they're traumatized from like people who have had platforms in this scene before and stuff.
Sometimes continue to have platforms.
Yeah,
for sure.
literally.
That's why
yeah.
it's so important to, you know, get that shit, you know, to do something about it, you know, don't just like act like it's not going on. because then you fuck it up in the long run, you know, with anything. If you don't acknowledge it, just anything in general, if you don't acknowledge the problems that's going on, then the thing's just gonna come crashing and burning to the ground, and people are gonna get hurt in the process. You feel me? So
I don't know. I just want everybody to like have a platform to be able to talk about those things safely and stuff. So that's kind of why like Under the Rug was a really important song, because it was like, yeah, this was stuff that happened like really close to us, and then it was also happening on a bigger scale, like around, like literally around the world and stuff. You know, it was like kind of all coming out at once. So it was like, yeah, let's make sure that this is being talked about, because this is very important. You know, so.
Okay, to segue kind of poorly out of that very honest and real discussion, which was, I think, a good, obviously good information. Hopefully people, again, take note of that and just or already are on that same page, I would imagine and hope. But for this EP, you got to work with an actual outside producer. You got to work with Abe Anderson, who is kind of a almost super producer here in the cities in Minnesota.
Shout out to Abe.
Shout out to Abe.
Love that guy. I'm going feral.
We'll edit this up, but we're literally going to record with him about an hour. But after this.
Wow. Nice.
We're not actually recording anything. We're just hanging out, but everybody else is.
That's fun.
So just talk about the experience of bringing these songs to someone who wasn't in the band and kind of bring it, I guess I'd say, a higher fidelity to Blue Venus, because it was kind of like that very kind of scrappy, lo-fi recording style, and then but like still the songs and like the message, I guess, carried through that, but now it's been kind of lifted up by the increased production. You can actually like hear what everything is going on, which is much more akin to the experience of seeing the band live. So just talk about this experience and kind of getting to sharpen these songs up and make sure they're ready to go for this opportunity and kind of getting it out there, because that's what people are listening to when they're checking out the EP.
So we got our money up. We're not using phone demos no more. Let's go. Like we, I literally just like on my personal account, I was just like, hey, yo, who produced? You know, and literally everybody and their mama tagged Abe literally. So I was just like, hey, friend, so here's kind of the vision. We have this going on. We want to do this, and this. And he was just like, fuck yeah, let's do it. He came to our practice space. We conversated a little bit, figured out what we were going to do and stuff, like the energy and everything. The day comes, it was like some random Tuesday in December, and we drove out to fucking Afghanistan, like the middle of fucking nowhere.
Cannon Falls?
Siberia. Yeah.
Cannon Falls.
Siberia. Yeah.
Shout out to Casey's General Store.
Yeah, for real. And so we went out there, and it was really funny. Like in the group chat, we were just like, hey, yo, if you're irritated when you're getting in there, you're going to sound better when you do it. And so.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
What were we? Everyone was pissed that morning. I don't know what was going on.
Nobody slept.
Right.
Like nobody slept good.
I was actually doing good, but
Yeah,
I
you
just
were
didn't
having
say
a
I was doing good because that would make everyone else feel bad.
Yeah.
But it was,
You're like the happy virus, like the sunshine of the group.
Like
Like
I try to bring it. I try to
like in
bring
a good way. You know, it's like it's contagious, you know?
What's the
I try to bring the
contagious thing that's
positivity.
good? What do you call that?
Happiness?
Yeah, okay.
A feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotions?
Laugh.
Yeah.
Would you laugh? You know, people.
Yeah. Okay.
I try to. I just try to say some funny shit sometimes because you know it's always a good thing to do.
Because I have like angry, like brooding lead singer disease where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so upset. I did not have my coffee this morning. I hate everything. I hate everyone. We're driving out to the middle of nowhere. You know.
We did get coffee though.
Shut up.
It was metaphorical coffee.
Yeah. But when I pulled up and it was just like, hey, we're outside, and I'm just like, ugh, you know.
Yeah.
So we drove out there, and I was like, just like kind of ready to do it. And then Abe was so welcoming. It was just like, hey guys, how are y'all doing? Like blah 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 blah. And I was just like, cool. It was good. And then so we did the instrumentals first, and that took up like almost the entire time. I'm not gonna like drag y'all or anything, but I was literally sitting there just like.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious to see the comparison between us trying to do everything and then like that shit took like fucking hours.
Yeah.
And then you hop on the fucking mic and it's just fucking over in like fucking 27
One
seconds
take.
flat.
Yep.
I'm
Wow.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
shit
the issue with our little divide and conquer strategy was we kind of remembered things as being longer or shorter than they actually were. So there was a lot of was that 6 bars or 8 that part was supposed to be.
It was a great learning experience for like really like like really just trying to figure out like how to, because like at least for me, I like just go with the, like when I first started doing this shit, I like this is like the first time I had been in a band and like playing music with like other people like as a unit, like I had made music, but I hadn't really done this type of like playing the guitar and there's other people doing shit. So my whole way that I'm going after shit is, okay, so when I hear that part, then that means I do that, but I'm not going to hear that part if it's just the instrumental part. So, I had to really learn how to count and all that shit. I think it was a great growth experience, to really do that shit and then, get that experience so that the next time we go in a studio type of environment and we do smooth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know what to do.
It's almost immediately like a fish out of water situation if you've never recorded before, like in a legitimate studio where it's just like suddenly like everything is like more complicated.
Yeah. And it was like, for me at least, because, I don't really do much instrumental stuff at all because like I sing my little songs, and I was really kind of just sitting there. Like I was in this like little stool already irritated. So I was just like
stewing in your anger.
Yeah.
Going insane, and I was just like, oh, it's like this. And then like they would be like, I don't remember it like that. And I'm just like, well, try it and I'll sing along and let's see how it works. And then I was right. So, but then, so like thankfully, like it made it a lot more smoother. Like once kind of like the number stuff, because I'm really bad at numbers. I go off of like vibes because I'm pro vibe. So so it made it a lot easier. And Abe was like really, really like chill about it, and was just like, yeah, no, of course, like take as much time as you need and stuff like that. And like if you need to figure it out, like do as much as you want. And like he like fucked with it heavy, like he was really like down to like kind of hang out in our chaos with us. And I thought that was really cool and nice. And then I got on the mic and did it all in 10 minutes. So
legit.
That's kind of why I was like a little bit antsy during the instrumental stuff, because it was just like, come on, I want it to be my turn, like the anxiety of just like, I want to get it over with too, guys.
Yeah.
So it was really fun and it was really like formative for us, I think. And I think it made it a lot, because we usually did a lot of stuff like within the Blue Venus unit, like the four of us.
Yeah.
And it was really like vulnerable and fun to like open up to somebody else and be like, hey, we want to do this. And then he like made it happen and was really, really sick about it. So please, if you are in the Minneapolis area, please go record with him because he is cool and fun and nice.
Yep.
And cool.
Also does a really good job.
Yeah. And also slays. Yeah. So go hang out. Abe the Drummer on Instagram and Abe the Drummer 1 on Twitter. So go hang out with him. And stream Funk Machine or else.
Yeah, check out Abe's solo music as well.
Yes.
On top of if you're in a band, you probably already know. You probably already worked with him. That's how kind it is.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. This is kind of a out there question. So I had a note, and I think I might have asked you about it when we talked a while ago, 2 years. The idea of working on and recording an album versus just another EP. It was initially planned you were going to record probably pre-pandemic, and what ended up happening, obviously, it was not allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Is an album still like an eventual like future goal or hope, or have you all found that you kind of operate best with just the format of an EP and just the more like kind of concise and to the point releases and like 5 songs, that's all you need to kick someone on their ass? And if you had like 10 songs, that's maybe too much, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, is that still something you maybe want to do, or are you kind of just comfortable with, and you found that the EP kind of in other formats work best for the band and behoove you the best?
I kind of like the EPs fast more because it's like, it's a lot more, I feel like after a certain point, because our songs are like really, really short, So it's like, and they're really fast. So I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like if it was a full album, it would be like a bit like, okay, girl, we get it,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be really cool to kind of just do EPs, maybe God willing, inshallah, down the line, like if we want to like do a little album moment. But I don't think that that's like kind of our vibe right now. I don't think. I think like Nosebleed was actually supposed to be an album, but then we found like songs that we liked a lot, and we wanted to focus on those and like shelve the older stuff, like and just kind of like, you know,
focus more on the either newer stuff or the stuff that you still had that connection with.
Yeah, like we go through eras, you know. That's kind of like what I call it, like the paper cut era, the Nosebleed era, the flop era, in the in the sense that we weren't doing anything.
Yeah,
you know, like that's kind of just how it's been, at least like from my perspective. So I think it's been pretty cool to just like, I don't know, have like little short like bursts of like, hey, here's what we sound like right now. Here's what we sound like right now. Here's what we sound like right now. And just kind of like go through, like I think it flows, you know, like just kind of like a upwards slope, I think.
Yeah, really. See, I would love to do an album, but I would just want to have it be album type of music, you know. Like it would have to be like, if everything was kind of like in the same type category as like fucking Under the Rug and like Brainworm and shit, and it was like that type of category. And like if we had like a bunch of songs like that, which is the thing about us is we don't have like a shitload of songs.
Yeah,
we got like
more songs for an album.
Yeah, we got our classics, you know. We got newer ones. We got our ones that are old, but I wouldn't call them classics. You know, we got like the whole variety, but
the forgotten hits.
Yeah,
right. But it's a short list, so we just gotta
expand
it.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because when we used to play certain songs, then they just became a whole different song. So really, it's a few songs when you think about it, just the same
growing
words.
and evolving the songs.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like, as a band, we kind of just tend to move, like it just like very much, if it happens, it happens, you know. And it's kind of like, okay, this is the right time for us to come back because we all feel it. Like, you know, it's like we're ready to do this right now. You know, and then when we're kind of like, if any of us aren't feeling it, like if we're really, really busy, like we're all still friends and stuff, you know? So it's like we can shelve it for a little bit and come back to it. And when we come back to it, it sounds a lot more different than when we first left it off in the first place. So it's like, I don't know, I think it's really easy to kind of, for us to go through eras. But I think our breakdowny, hardcore-y era might go a little bit longer because I think that this is a comfortable and happy place for us right now. Like, just like, haha, this is heavy, you know?
Yeah,
I think
it's fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's fast, fun, kicks people's asses.
It's just impactful too, you know? That's like where it really is the platform to say certain things, you know?
I think that ends it on a pretty good note. So in case you haven't realized from the fact that we're kind of bashing you over the head with it, but with good reason, Nosebleed is out now. It's available anywhere. It's on Bandcamp. I believe the band has some merch as well, so definitely support them there.
Yeah, we have important two pieces of news. Sorry to interrupt.
No, please interrupt.
Well, first for our overseas friends, I don't know how many we have, but this guy, Noise Merchant Records, he does a radio show over in the UK, and he also contacted us and let us know that he wants to do a tape run of Nosebleed.
Oh, hell yeah!
I don't think we'll be able to have it available in the US, but anybody tune in?
We might.
Okay.
Hopefully.
We'll see if we can
Selfishly,
get
I
enough
hope so.
copies. Yeah.
I'll save you one.
We'll see.
Shout out to the UK.
Yeah.
Shout out to the UK.
And then over here, we got CDs coming. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Check out for those physical media items that at least I personally love and adore.
Yeah, in February, maybe by Bandcamp Friday, but probably by Valentine's Day at the latest.
Yeah.
I mean, just at this point, if you aren't already, just follow the band on social media and you'll hear when they're coming out. Cool. Yeah, definitely look forward to both those. I know I am, now that I've heard about them.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So on top of all that, just check out the band, check out the EP if you haven't already. Hopefully you have if you're listening to the episode, because that would make sense. So, as you may remember from last time, I like to end the interview in the same way and give some different recommendations. Now, it's been 2 years, but what are some of the, I guess, starting local, some of the recent releases or maybe bands that you've just seen over the past year or so, given how often shows have been getting canceled, especially lately. Just who are some of the artists or bands locally that you wanted to shout out or have been enjoying lately, or maybe just underground artists or friends that aren't maybe based here in Minnesota? Just the shout out corner, as we should probably give it a name.
Oh my God.
That's not going to stick.
There are so many. I want to start out with Please Go Stream Submissive by Ev. That song is a banger. It came out on New Year's Eve, I think. Yeah, New Year's Eve of 2021.
Yep.
shit goes crazy. Like it's so good. So that's one big release that I would really want to like shout out because I was like shook when it came out. Like I streamed it so heavy. Shout out Ev, Bugsy, Allergen, Haze Gazer, underlined 5 times. You know, they have an EP out called Ascension that came out in May last year.
I think it was New Year's of 2021.
Was it?
It was really early in 2021.
Oh, Tia.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, I might be lying. I'm sorry.
Regardless, it is out now.
Yeah, please go stream. It is so good. Some other artists that I like in the cities, like musically that I fuck with heavy, are like Pack Rat. I like Pack Rat's music a lot.
We saw him live. That was
my god,
nuts.
it was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So those are some like in the cities that I fuck with heavy. Outside of the cities, honestly, a big one that I like a lot. Oh wait, no. Shout out Gully Boys. Obviously, I love them so much.
Well, that also goes without saying. Like,
that's
everybody
very
shouts
obvious.
out Gully Boys and Bugsy. Like that's a given at this point.
Yeah, but they're really nice and cool. So
that's also
everybody should shout them.
Yeah,
they deserve every single shout out. And then some.
I
Shout
love
out
them.
to DGB Juice. Shout out to Draco.
True.
Shout out to fucking Kyoto. Shout out to Trey 5. Shout out Skunk.
True. Who else? Oh my god, wait. Oh my god, wait.
Oh my god, what music do I listen to?
Oh my god, I'm fighting for my life. Oh yes, there is this. I love Pink Shift. They're a personal favorite of mine.
Yes.
I love them so fucking much. They're
Shout
really
out
cool.
Baltimore.
Shout out Baltimore. That entire city is really sick. There's a lot of cool. Black Vapor is another really cool band out there. There's this band in Chicago called Overclocked that I've been a fan of since I was like 15. Yeah, they're so cool. They dropped this album that like literally nobody hardly ever like listened to it, and I found it like on a blog when I was like 15 because I was like, wow, I'm pretentious about music, and I'm on
a blog right now.
Yeah, literally. I swore I was like so different. I wasn't. But I found their album is called Pardon Our Dust, and they came out with like this 2 releases. I Want to Be an Architect, like parts 1 and 2. And they're like really sick, and they've been really supportive of me doing like music because I've been like mutuals and friends with them online for like the last 5 years, you know?
Wow.
So I love those guys a lot. And so shout out to them. Shout out to Pink Flag.
Overclocked?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Shout out to Pink Flag in DC. They make really cool music. We're like mutuals, but we don't talk very much, but I think that they're really fucking sick. I'm just like, I don't talk to people because I'm anxious. So yeah.
Oh, the Muslims too.
The Muslims. Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I admire them a lot.
Just thought of them.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah.
Like we have like interactions on Twitter every once in a while, and every time I like cry and throw up.
They have it's a full album, isn't it? The new one, Fuck These Fucking Fascists.
Yes. Go stream.
Didn't they get like signed too?
They did.
I think I signed
Epitaph.
Epitaph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm thinking of a different band.
Mashallah.
them.
They're so.
Oh, they were on Don't Panic too. Legit. Joe's just fact checking everybody from the corner.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, shout out to Don't Panic as well. Like that label is really sick. I see like the stuff that they release, and it's really cool.
Well, that's
So,
facts.
I don't know. I shout out Big Joni. I don't know. I like when Black people do things. I get happy. I don't know. That's all.
Nice.
Do you have any?
My brain is empty.
Me too.
That's valid. Well, thank you so much for finally getting to do the interview in person. This was a blast as always.
Yeah, it's been
Hopefully y'all get to play a show sometime soon so we can lose our goddamn minds once more.
Yeah.
Once it's safe to do so.
Hopefully, we're looking.
Again, check out the band.
In the meantime, I guess we can maybe try and set up some live stream stuff.
Oh yeah, we could.
Yeah, check out live streams if we got those coming. Follow the band on everything and stay tuned for those cassettes and CDs on any other forthcoming events, whether they are digital or in person. Always a pleasure. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @Ear Coffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.